You just got home from work. You open the mailbox like any other day, except today you have a letter from the IRS. Or, even worse, the mailman has you sign for a certified letter. You're like, am I being audited? Am I going to jail? Do I owe a boatload of money? Over the years, I can't tell you how many clients have come into my office with a stack of unopened IRS mail. They have letters and notices that have come to their home or their place of business over a long period of time, and none of them have been opened. So my goal for today's series of videos is to, one, help you understand some of the more popular notices and letters that you might receive from the Internal Revenue Service, and two, to help you understand why it's important for you to open those letters and read them as soon as they arrive. I just got a letter from the IRS. That's the topic of today's series of videos on the other side of the intro.
1877 Levy King, Levy Levy King, 1877 Levy King, levyking.com.
What's up, you guys? I'm Corey Hankerson from Legacy Tax and Financial Planning, aka the Levy King. The IRS took your check, call the Levy King. I'll get it back. 877 Levy King, levyking.com. I'm also the author of End the Tax Nightmare: Insider Secrets to Beat the IRS and Reduce Your Tax Debt. And I want to give you a copy of my book for free. I want you to go over to endthetaxnightmare.com. Plug in your name, your email address. You can download a copy of the book for free. Inside the book, you're going to learn how to release IRS liens and levies, how to establish the payment plan that you want, not the one that they want, and how you can potentially settle your tax debt for less than you actually owe. Just jump on over to endthetaxnightmare.com, plug in your name and email address. You can download the book for free. Before we dive into today's video, if you haven't already done so, I want you guys to follow us on social. We're on Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram at Ice Cold Tax Pro, and of course right here on YouTube. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our channel. Also hit that like button and that notification bell so YouTube will let you know each and every time we drop a new video. Okay, so you just got a letter from the IRS. You're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Okay, so one of the most common notices that you'll receive when you owe back taxes from the IRS is the CP14, Notice of Balance Due. This is the first in a series of notices that you'll receive right when you enter into, you're on the threshold of really getting deep into the collections process. You're still very early in the process. If you can afford to pay the balance off, I would really recommend you just pay the balance at this point, because now you're still early in the process. They haven't hit you with a lot of penalties and interest. They haven't really started coming after you aggressively at this point in time. So if you can afford to pay, you should really do that. The CP 504, Notice of Intent to Levy, is the IRS informing you that it intends to levy or take your state tax refund to offset any federal income tax balances that you may owe, right? So in other words, if you do a refund from the state or from the federal government even, they intend to take your refund in order to satisfy the money that you owe to the IRS. The LT11, the Notice of Intent to Levy and Notice of Your Right to a Hearing, lets you know that the IRS intends to levy or garnish your wages, okay? The IRS uses the term levy, whereas most other creditors use the term garnishment. For all intents and purposes, they are the same thing. Okay, so the IRS intends to garnish your wages in order to satisfy the tax debt that you owe. If you haven't been taking this seriously so far, if you ignored everything else, you really want to start taking this seriously, because when you start getting levy notices, things are about to heat up. Okay, so the IRS can take your property, which includes wages and other income. I'm just going to read it straight from the code. Wages and other income, bank accounts, bank assets, personal assets, including your car and your home, and even your Social Security benefits. If you receive this notice, you need to hire a professional to represent you. You can call the IRS to set up a payment plan if you want to, or file an appeal to contest the IRS collections actions. But if you don't do anything, you should expect to be levied within a very short period of time. So another notice that you might receive is the CP91, which is the intent to seize your Social Security benefits. If you owe back taxes and you also receive Social Security benefits, the IRS can levy or take up to 15% of your Social Security benefits to satisfy your IRS balance. Now, if you also receive other income, like maybe you had a 401k on your job, maybe you have an IRA, you have a pension, you have some disability benefits. If you have another source of income besides Social Security, the IRS can levy up to 85% of your Social Security benefits. So that's a lot, man. So the IRS, they have the authority, the ability to take a very large chunk of your Social Security retirement benefits. And obviously it's not difficult for them to do. It's coming from the federal government. So that, they'll be able to do that immediately. If you get a CP91, you need to act on it quickly. The reason being is that with a typical wage levy from a normal wage earner, let's say you work for just a private company out there somewhere, we can typically have a levy released in a matter of days. Okay. With a CP91, it has to go through not only the IRS, but also through the Social Security Administration. If you think that working with one government entity is difficult, working with two is a nightmare. Getting them to coordinate releasing the levy and how much they should release is very difficult and time consuming. It can take up to 45 days to have the levy released, which means that several of your paychecks could potentially be impacted by the levy, right? So if you get a CP91, you need to take action quickly. Don't delay, don't ignore it. Next up is the LT 1058, Final Notice of Intent to Levy. When you get one of these, it's about to go down. I mean, the IRS is about to bring the hammer down, right? One of their most potent tools in their arsenal of collecting tax liability is the wage levy, right? The bank levy. When you receive this, it's the final notice of intent to levy. So you will not likely receive any other types of notices or warnings from the Internal Revenue Service before they levy your bank account, levy your wages, seize your property, or all of the above, okay? So you receive one of these bad boys, you really want to begin to take action right away. Do not delay. Don't ignore it and think that they'll just forget, because the next thing will happen, you'll be calling a tax pro like myself to try and get the levy released. And again, like we said previously, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So if we can get involved in your case, the earlier, the better, okay? And also remember, the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, is the only creditor out there that has the ability to garnish your wages without first taking you to court and getting a judgment, and then after that getting a wage garnishment signed by a judge. You know, if you owed money to Visa or MasterCard and they wanted to garnish your wages, first they'd have to sue you, they'd have to get a judgment, then they'd have to go back into court and have a judge sign off on a wage garnishment order, right? The IRS doesn't have to do any of that. They simply have to send you a letter saying that they're going to garnish your wages. It will come by certified mail. You will know that it is your final notice. It does tell you that you have 90 days to appeal to the United States Tax Court, but they don't have to take you into court and get a garnishment and a judgment against you, right? So they have the ability to do that on their own merit, right? So that's one thing you should be advised of. If you get this notice, please take it seriously, right? Don't ignore it. If you're receiving a bunch of IRS notices and letters, particularly if you're receiving certified notices or letters, and you find them confusing, you're not quite sure what the deal is, or maybe you feel overwhelmed or intimidated in dealing with the situation, you really need to either just, get up the nerve to jump on the phone and call the IRS and work out a resolution to your situation, or hire a tax professional such as myself or one of the others out there to help you resolve your case. It's not going to go away on its own. And one of the biggest mistakes you can make is ignoring the numerous letters that the IRS is sending you. If you have a complicated situation, you probably really do need to hire a tax professional to help you resolve your situation, like the folks here at Legacy Tax, right? Give us a call and we'll help you with your situation. We work with the IRS every single day. We are familiar with the Internal Revenue Code and the rules and regulations that surround IRS collections and the IRS procedures, right? So we can help you and use that knowledge and experience to defend you and make sure that you don't pay any more than you absolutely have to pay, right? You can reach us at
1-877